All right, we've got people from all over the place, and I know those of you on the internet, you're not hearing what's coming through on the phone line. So we've got a little simulcast going on here, and I'll do my best towards the end, especially during Q&A, to make sure that those of you on the internet that are watching on pinkcattyhangout.com are, I'll repeat what's being said on the phone line here. So we've got Mandy from Texas, Ruby from Texas, Shelly Orlando, Barbara from Canada, love the Canadians, Kelsey, Rancho Cucamonga, nice, not too far away from me. Mary, Tam is Orange County, another one close to me. So welcome everyone to Magnetic Recruiting. Those of you that are on pinkcattyhangout.com, let me say hi to you real quick. So you can visually see, and if you're on both, then great. There's going to be a little bit of a delay with the phone and the Hangout, so I would suggest you listen to the audio from just one of them. But hey, everyone that can see my face on the Hangout page, this is the final encore of Magnetic Recruiting. And so let's start out with, why is this such an important topic? And not for being with us, because there's all kinds of things you can be doing. I know some of you, since we're in the middle of the day as we're recording this, some of you are taking breaks maybe from your job, or you had to get coverage for your kids or something like that. And I really appreciate and honor you for being on with us here. So magnetic recruiting, obviously this is a big issue in the Mary Kay world, and this is a Mary Kay only training that we're talking about today. I know many of you don't know who I am, so let me just briefly tell you. My name is Sean Smith. I've been coaching and training in the Mary Kay world for about 9.5 years. I sort of fell into the world of Mary Kay. I did an event back in 2006 and fell in love with the energy. I fell in love with the hunger. I fell in love with hanging out with people who want more out of life. And I know you all want more out of life. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in Mary Kay, number one, and you wouldn't be on this training call, number two. So I totally acknowledge and honor you for that. I want to give you as much value as I can while we're together here on this webinar. And during the little bit of time we have, here's what I'll be teaching. 5 basic things. We're going to talk about the biggest recruiting mistakes that people make. We're going to talk about the most important internal shift you must make for your recruiting. That's one of the bigger ones that people have been emailing me and telling me had the biggest impact on them, is this internal shift that you've got to make. So I can't wait to get to that. We're also going to talk about the 5 characteristics of the world's best recruiters. We're going to talk about overcoming objections easily and unconsciously. That's an area that a lot of people really struggle with. They don't like the energy of overcoming objections, and I don't either, so I'll give you my philosophies. And finally, we're going to talk about identifying and attracting your ideal prospects. Now, let me explain where this information is coming from. This information is not just coming from, a book. This information also isn't coming from my experience building a Mary Kay business. Like, I'm going to be upfront. I haven't hit national sales director, and I haven't become a director in Mary Kay. But what I've been doing is I've been coaching people over the last 9.5 years. So everything that I'm teaching you tonight is going to be, or today, depending on when you're listening to this, is going to be what I've learned over 9.5 years about what works and what doesn't work. So I'm going to give you the coaching perspective. And you'll notice that I'm not into sugarcoating anything. I'm into speaking reality. I'm into speaking truth, because I know what most people struggle with when they're not working the business the way they want to work, or they're not getting the results they want to get. I know what struggles most people are going through, because that's what I've been coaching people around for almost a decade. So I wanted to give you a little bit of context as to where all of my information is coming from. And hopefully that helps. Now, as far as this webinar goes, we're going to go for about 45 or 50 minutes. I'm going to stick around for Q&A. That'll take as long as it needs to take. I try to answer as many questions as I can, and all the questions if I can. I don't want you to take notes of information, because you're going to have the ability to get the recording and get all the slides, etc. So don't just try to write down what you see on the slides. I want you to soak this information in, because if you soak this information in, you're going to get inspired inspirational ideas. And that's what I want you to take notes on. Don't take notes on the information that you can get later. Take notes on the inspiration that you want to capture when it comes to you in the moment. Later on, I'll talk about how we can go deeper. And here's what I'd love to do. For those of you that are on the internet, I want you to go to facebook.com/Pink Caddy Coach. That's my Facebook fan page for Mary Kay. And if you're on the Hangout, you can see it on the screen there. Pink Caddy Coach is the fan page. And there's a post at the top. I think I posted it. Let me make sure that I actually posted it. There's a post at the top that basically says, what are your ahas in this webinar? And it doesn't look like I have posted that. So let me post that real quick. And what I'd love for you to do is I want you to comment inside of that post. And I want you to use the hashtag change the game, because that's really what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about, and today, we're talking about changing the foundation of your business. We're not talking about just more skill sets. We're talking about what does it really take to make the shifts that you need to make in your business. And so I'm going to pull the screen down for a second so that, if you're on Pink Caddy Hangout, it's going to look weird for a moment as you see all of my all of the stuff on my desktop, which is kind of a mess. But okay, so I just made the post. There's a post that says, change the game. What are your ahas from the Magnetic Recruiting webinar? And that's where I want you to make your posts. So just share whatever ahas you're having and put in change the game as the hashtag. That way we can create a little bit of buzz on the internet, and I can answer whatever questions you have later on and just acknowledge you. All right, so let's get into the content. Let's talk recruiting. Why is recruiting such an important topic? This hit me a few days ago. Recruiting is such a big issue. I mean, number one, obviously, you want to grow your business, but this is what hit me the other day. Too many consultants and directors in this company have goals that require you to grow your team, right? You want to become a director. You want to get into DIQ. You want to be a red jacket. You want to become a Cadillac driver. You want to become national, whatever. Most of those bigger goals require you to grow your team. So recruiting is a requirement for you to get your goals, but most people don't love recruiting. So I want that conflict to really set in. If you don't love recruiting, then it's going to be very, very difficult for you to achieve a goal that requires recruiting. And if you don't enjoy the journey, then you will always have resistance. And that's where the sabotage comes from. Sabotage comes from us trying to motivate ourselves to do something that we don't like doing. That's why it's easier to shuffle papers, or it's easier to go do laundry, or go do the dishes, or go clean the garage, or do anything other than what you don't enjoy doing. So if you have a resistance to making phone calls, if you have a resistance to warm chatting, if you have a resistance to connecting with people, follow-ups, any of that stuff, your resistance to it will continue to create sabotage. And then the only thing you can do is try to motivate yourself into doing the thing that you don't like doing. And that's not easy. So if you don't love recruiting, you're constantly going to have to motivate yourself. And I'm sure many of you right now can feel that energy that you've got to motivate yourself to make the calls. You got to motivate yourself. It's like recruiting is a necessary evil. And recruiting should not be held on to you by like it's a necessary evil. It should not be a necessary evil for you to go achieve something you want to achieve. And obviously evil is a little bit, it's a harsh word, but you get the concept. It shouldn't be something negative that you have to push through in order for you to achieve something, because that negativity sticks. And even if you do push yourself through and you make yourself recruit, then you're going to build a business that in its foundation has the same irritation around recruiting that you do. So you're going to attract other people that don't like recruiting. And you do not want a business full of people that have resistance around recruiting. That energy duplicates out. So you're in a lose-lose situation if you don't really enjoy recruiting. You're either not going to do it because you sabotage yourself, or you're going to push yourself through it and build a business of people that also don't like recruiting. And at a certain point, people are going to stop doing what they don't like doing as soon as something else comes along. So I want you to really understand how important this concept is. And if you don't get past this internal resistance, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter if you can deliver the most amazing skincare class since Mary Kay Ash herself. It doesn't matter if you know the best recruiting script on the planet. It doesn't matter if you know everything about the company. It doesn't matter if you can tell me the ingredients of all the products. It doesn't matter what skill sets you learn or what knowledge you attain. If you haven't given yourself permission to recruit first, then you can't win. So this is a game that you must get through. You have to clear this. And now, one of the themes of this webinar you'll find is the difference between clearing and coping. I'm a clearing guy. I don't want you to cope. I don't think you were put on this planet. I don't think you were created to cope. You weren't here. You're not here to cope with your fears. You're not here to cope with your anxieties. You're not here to cope with your limiting beliefs. I want you to clear that stuff away. So if you're listening, or I know you're listening, but if you're on the Facebook page, you tell me right now, what are you more committed to, coping or clearing? And just feel the energy of what coping is. It's like, I have this problem. I'm not going to fix the problem. I'm just going to cope with the problem. Well, that's never going to work in Mary Kay. Here's why. Most people's challenges in Mary Kay they involve other people. If you have a problem connecting with other people and you are in a people business, that's never going to work, because the only way, if you're going to play the coping game and you have a fear around recruiting, or you have a fear around rejection, or you have a fear around other people approving you, or fear around failure, if you have a fear around any of those things that involve other people, and you have signed up to be in a people business, and you don't clear those fears and all you do is cope with them, then the only way that you can avoid your fears is to not talk to people. And I promise you, that's not a good solution. That's not a good solution. If you don't clear the problems, the only thing you can do is cope with them and try to avoid all of the situations that could potentially lead to the problem. And if your problems involve other people, then all you're left with is avoid other people. And many of you know, because you've experienced this either now or in the past, when you are in this place of just wanting to avoid the pain and you want to avoid other people, your business doesn't grow. I don't know how it can grow, right? So this is a gigantic, gigantic conflict that we've got to clear for you. I don't want to cope. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to teach you coping mechanisms. I can't my blood starts to crawl even when I say that. Coping mechanisms. I am not here to cope with anything on this planet. I am here to create freedom. I am here to live life to the fullest. I am not here to cope with my restrictions. And that is one of the most important decisions that you have to make. And this goes for everything, not just Mary Kay. This goes for life in general. Are you a coper or are you a clearer? Do you want to live with freedom or do you want to live with restriction? And if you want to live with restriction, that's okay for you. I'm not going to judge you, but you should probably just leave, because I won't serve you on this webinar and I won't serve you on the phone. So if that's your thing, cool. We can still be friends. I'm not going to say anything negative about you, but I'm not your guy. I'm just like, nothing I say from this point forward is really going to serve you, because it's just not in my energy. It's not what I want to do. You know, I almost died when I was 13 years old. I was riding my bike to school one day and I got hit by a car traveling 50 miles an hour. He ran over me and I woke up and I was in the middle of traffic. And I don't know how I got out of traffic, because when I stood up, I fell back down. The car had almost severed my leg when it went through me and I couldn't run. I don't know how I got out of traffic, but the reason I tell you that story is when I was 13 years old, I learned that no matter where we are in life, we only have one shot. I was given the gift by God to see life through a mortal set of lenses. And so I made a choice to myself that I would never settle for mediocrity. That if I only get one chance on this planet in this form, then I'm going to give it everything I possibly can. So I never have to look back at any point in my life and say, what if? What if I would have tried harder? What if I would have paid attention to the people who were trying to help me? What if I would have avoided the people who were going to bring me down? What could I have become? That question, even as I say it now, 28 years later, even as I say it now, it almost makes me want to throw up. You know, the what if conversation. So I'm going to invite you to make that similar decision. I know many of you already have, but here's what I also know. Making a decision that you are going to change your life isn't enough to change your life. We all get emotionally drunk. We all get fired up. We all say enough is enough. I will never fall, prey to all these challenges ever again. Enough is enough. Now is when I'm going to change my life. And every single one of you on this line knows that's not enough. You're going to make a decision to change your life, but you're going to take the rest of your life changing your life. And you have to understand that from the get-go. You have to understand that this journey is not simple. Well, let me take that back. This journey is not easy. Most of the things that it takes to make the changes that I'm talking about are simple. But most people decide that their journey is supposed to be easy, or most people decide that what they're experiencing is not what they're supposed to be experiencing. They think it's supposed to be faster. They think more people that they talk to are supposed to join the business. And it's not like that, you guys. You have to listen. There are rules of the game. There are rules of the game when you sign up for a people business. And you have two choices. You can either complain about the rules of the game and challenge the rules of the game and get angry at the rules of the game and try to change the unchangeable rules of the game. You can worry about the unchangeable rules of the game. You can wish about the unchangeable rules of the game that they were different, but you can't change the unchangeable rules of the game. The only thing you can do if you're going to succeed is you embrace and you decide you're going to play by the rules of the game. And so in my 9.5 years, what I've noticed is that most people who are struggling are actually experiencing what they're supposed to experience. It's just that they have decided they're not normal. They've decided that their journey doesn't look like so-and-so's journey, right? They see somebody talk on stage about what their journey looked like, and then they look inside and they go, well, my journey doesn't look like her journey, so I must be wrong. This must not work for me. This must not be for me, this business. And that is so tragic when I see people experiencing what you're supposed to experience, but then decide that it's wrong, create misery, and end up quitting. Here's the bottom line. Anybody who has ever achieved anything significant in this company, you take a look at all the national sales directors in this company. There is not a single national sales director who has learned the art of changing human behavior. Not a single one of them. There's not a single national sales director, not even Mary Kay Ash herself, had the ability to put 100 people in the room and make 100 people successful. She didn't do that. She couldn't do that. Nobody can do that. And if you put 100 people in the room, there's going to be a small percentage of them that become successful. And you have to be okay with that because that's the rule of the game. And that small percentage is going to be 5, 10, 15. It's going to be small. It's much smaller than what you wished it was. But here's what all the nationals do. They just play bigger numbers. That's it. They play bigger numbers. If the percentage is 10%, would you rather have 10% of your people working and you have 10 of them, which means there's only one person working and it better be you? Like some people get irritated by that. They go, I have 10 people on my team and I'm the only one working. And I'm like, so? What? And? That's called the rules of the game when you're playing a human game. That's the rules of the game. You know, directors will tell me, I've got 50 people on my team. I only got a handful of them working, 3 or 4. Awesome. You're right on pace. What's the problem? Well, more people should be working. No. Stop trying to change the rules of the game. Go get 500 people and tell me how your life changes when now you have 30 people working instead of 3 out of 50. That's it. That's what the national sales directors have perfected. They just get more people. And what saddens me is when people take themselves out of the game because they have determined that their normal journey is not normal. Therefore, they create their own misery. I can tell you right now, most people are not going to join you in this business. You can either get mad at that or you can play by that as a rule of the game, period. And I can also tell you this, that most people that join your business are not going to become wildly successful. You can either get mad at that or you can embrace that. You can decide that it means you're not a good leader and make yourself feel miserable, which is definitely not going to cause you to want to talk to anybody else going forward because you don't want to recruit people into the misery that you're feeling. But that misery is yours. You've created it because you've decided that your journey is not normal, when most of the time it is normal. Now, I'm not saying you can't get better. I'm not saying you can't learn certain skills with leadership, persuasion, influence. You absolutely can and increase your abilities. But there's only a certain point that you can increase your abilities to. You cannot change human behavior. So if you've talked to 30 people this month and only a few of them have even called you back, awesome. That's called normal. Do you want to get mad at the rules of the game or do you want to embrace the rules of the game? It's your choice. So you got to understand that conceptual reality first. And then we can go forward and play, because until you understand that conceptual reality and until you embrace that, you can't win. See, you need to embrace that and say, I understand that most people are going to say no. I understand that even the ones that say yes, many of them are not going to be successful. And I'm signing up anyway. Why? Because the people that sign up for that game and they stay in it are the only ones that get to experience what's available for them in life and in this business. See, many people, they don't understand how delicious your life can be when you create a solid business. And if you don't understand how delicious it is, then all you have is the sour taste of everything that you need to go through up until that point. And I'm telling you right now, that's called the journey towards success. The journey towards success is paved with all the things that most people are trying to avoid. It's paved with rejection. It's paved with failure. It's paved with people lying to you. It's paved with people getting in and quitting. It's paved with other people telling you you're crazy. It's paved with that. There's not a single national sales director that hasn't experienced all of that and a lot of all of that. So please don't try to be the first person in human history and the first consultant or director in Mary Kay to achieve success without going through the things that are required to achieve success. But see, that is just a decision. First of all, you need to pre-decide that this is what's going to happen, and the journey is juicy enough that you're going to go through it anyway. You're going to sign up anyway. As soon as you have that mindset, now we can talk about skill set. Until you have that mindset, all of your skill set doesn't matter, because you will always hold yourself back internally. You'll create your own misery. So the reality is, I can tell you, the reality is 99% of you, probably 99.9% of you, whatever you're experiencing is what you should be experiencing. Don't pretend it should be any different and you'll be just fine. Now let's get into this slide. I know I talked for a long time, and those of you on the Hangout, the slides are not messed up. I just wasn't advancing the slides because I went off on a little rant there. But the biggest recruiting mistakes that people make is, number one, they talk too much. Leaders listen more than they speak. Now, let me explain why that's so important for recruiting. Why do you think people join businesses? Let's look at why people, let's look at human behavior. Why would somebody join a business that has the possibility to change their life? I'll tell you what, it's not because of any information that you tell them while you're speaking. It's what's happening inside of them. They have to make that decision inside of them. They have to decide that enough is enough. I've suffered long enough. I've been working my tail off for 25 years and I have nothing to show for it. So it's time for me to change the game. It's time for me to change the recipe. It's time for me to introduce something new into my life. They need to decide that they're not playing life as big as they want to play life. So now is the time to play bigger. They need to be provoked internally in order for them to join a business with the conviction they need to join it with and change their life. So if the decision they need to make is inside of them, then you need to do everything you can to keep their focus inside of them, not outside of them, not listening to what's coming out of your mouth, experiencing what's happening inside of their heart. That's why people join a business. And what I can tell you is most of the stuff that we say when we're making statements isn't doing anything to help them decide to change their life. The way to help people decide to change their life is ask questions that are going to cause them to look at things that they're probably not looking at. Ask questions that are going to cause them to go, I need to make a change. But see, that decision has to come from within them. So the more you talk, the less they are connected to themselves. And the more you talk, the harder it is for you. That's one of the beautiful things about this. It's so much easier to just get curious and ask questions than it is for you to memorize a presentation and deliver it to them. So what you'll find is, number one, this is way more effective. But number two, it's way easier. I promise you. And if you understand why people make their decisions, it'll be easier for you to remember. I'm talking too much here. Let me ask this question. Let's explore inside of them. So you want primarily the majority of the conversation to be happening inside of their heart, because that's when people make the decisions that you want them to make. Now, along those lines, when you talk too much, generally what you're doing is you're just transferring intellectual information. Nobody has ever decided to get into the ring and get into a good fight for their goals and dreams based on intellectual information. Nobody's going to fight for their dreams because of a tax benefit. Nobody's going to fight for their dreams because of a retirement plan. I'm not saying those things are unimportant, but I have never met a human being yet that will fight for anything intellectual. We don't fight for intellectual stuff. We fight for emotional stuff. And I'm intentionally using the word fight because I'm not talking about fighting in your Mary Kay business. I'm talking about getting into a fight for your life. I'm talking about getting into a fight for everything that you know you have the ability to create on this planet. And you know what? It's going to require a fight, because we all have decades and decades worth of evidence from our past where we didn't achieve something that we wanted to achieve, that we're not good enough, that we'll never succeed. We have all this garbage laid up, and that is piled up high from decades and decades worth of life. And if you don't get into a fight against that stuff, it will overcome you. So you have to have that fighting energy. And let me tell you, women, you have a fight inside of you that we as men don't even have. You know, we as men fight aggressively and fight with force, but you fight with heart. You fight with power. For those of you that are parents, imagine something bad almost happening to your child, and the fight that's going to come out of you to defend your child. There is no greater force, human force on the planet, than a mother's fight for her child. So you as women, because I know you're primarily women, you as women have a fight that we can't even touch as men. But a lot of times what I found is that women don't want to go there because that seems like a masculine energy. And of course, I'm not talking about getting into a fist fight. I'm not talking about fighting like men fight. I'm talking about fighting like women fight. Fighting with conviction that something is so important to you, nothing can get in your way. That's the kind of fight that it's going to take for you to achieve what you want in life. And this is a much bigger conversation than Mary Kay. But when you're willing to get into that kind of fight in your life, Mary Kay is easy. Are you kidding? Mary Kay is easy because you have a bigger game to play here. And not only do you need to step into that kind of energy, you've got to attract other people and tap into other people who want to get into a good fight for their goals and dreams too. That's what this game is really about. This game is about fighting for yourself and then finding other people who want to fight for themselves and then teach them a little bit. But the fight has to be there first. The fight has to be there first. Then all the skill set can come after. You can't teach somebody who's intellectually rich. You can't teach somebody who's smart how to fight. But you can teach somebody who's ready to fight the knowledge that they need. So any information transferring that you're doing is probably not doing what you think it's going to do. Here's another aha that I had last night. Most of you that have been in the business long enough, I want you to do this with yourself. I want you to take a look at the information that you generally teach people. Like during the interview process, when you're talking to them about joining the company, I want you to take the information that you give them, and I want you to ask yourself, did I have this information before I joined the company? And I guarantee you what you'll find is there's a lot of information that you think people need to know because you tell them that you didn't learn until after you were in the company. So let me explain why that's such a big, powerful aha for you. Anything that you didn't need to know before you decided to join, other people don't need to know either. And if they do need to know, they'll ask you. See, what happens is as you go along this journey, when you're in Mary Kay long enough, you learn about your business. And because you like the things that you've learned, it's easy to want to teach that to other people. And it's easy to think that other people are going to get as excited about the intellectual information that you're excited about. But you forgot, they're not in the company yet. They're not going to be as excited about the intellectual stuff as you are because they haven't joined yet. They're not enrolled yet. So anything that you intellectually transfer to people that you didn't have before you made the decision is probably not necessary. It's probably a waste of your breath. And I would rather you stop transferring that information that's not necessary and start asking questions that is necessary. Asking the questions that'll cause them to go inside and make the decisions that are necessary to change their life first. So just be aware of what are you giving to them that they don't really need, and replace that with the questions that are going to get them into their heart. The more that you talk from your heart to their heart, the better it is for everybody. That's really what this game is about. It's heart talk. It's not head talk. You're talking from your heart to their heart. The other one here is taking results personally. Now, I know we hear this all the time. Don't take things personally. But there's a certain extent where, that's not what I want to say. What I want to say is with recruiting, there's inherently going to be a little bit more personal attachment than when you're talking to people about their, the products of Mary Kay. So when you ask them to join your business, when you ask them to come over to your house or to come to a unit meeting or something like that, there's inherently going to be a little bit more personal attachment. So this is going to be a more challenging thing to deal with in recruiting than it is to deal with products. But you have to do that. And when you understand some of the things that I've already talked about, where you're just looking for people that are looking for an opportunity to change their life, so much easier to not take things personal. All you're doing is you're inviting and you're sorting. That's it. You're inviting people to a party and you're sorting the ones that say yes and the ones that say no. I've been sharing this analogy and a lot of people are really liking it because they're telling me it's changed the way that they're thinking about their recruiting. I want you to imagine that the name of this game was just to go find people with blue shirts. I want you to imagine that I told you, I'm going to pay you $1,000 for every person that you can find who has a blue shirt on. Go. Imagine how quickly you will scan your environment and find people with blue shirts. And also, imagine how little time, if any, you would spend on people that don't have blue shirts on. That's all recruiting is. Conceptually, it doesn't have to be anything other than that. You're just looking for people who fit a profile, and you're telling them where to go. And you're not spending time arguing with the others. If you find somebody that has a yellow shirt on, don't spend your time wrestling with them, trying to put your blue shirt onto them, trying to tell them that they would really look good in a blue shirt if they only wanted to. And this whole time they're like, I don't want to. I don't want to wear a blue shirt. That's fine. They have the right to not want to join the party. All you're doing is sorting them. And as soon as you get that all you're doing is sorting them, then it's impossible to take things personally. And when you don't take things personally, now it's going to be so much easier for you to do what I was talking about earlier, which is to separate that emotional attachment and to join the game of recruiting and not try to change the rules. You just realize, hey, most people don't have blue shirts on. Great. I'm only looking for the ones that do. That's the concept that you need with recruiting. And finally, this is another big issue that I've found with a lot of my clients is the prejudging of people. I understand the concept that certain people are going to work and certain people are not. But see, the characteristics of what's going to be of what's going to determine whether somebody succeeds or not in Mary Kay are not externally observable by you. That means you can't just look at somebody and look at the way they're put together and decide she's going to be good and somebody else is going to be bad. You know, that's like playing duck, duck, goose, right? I don't want you to be playing duck, duck, goose in your recruiting. Don't say she's a goose, she's a goose, she's a duck, she's a duck. Don't want to talk to the ducks. I only want to talk to gooses. Or geese. Here's the reason. You have no idea what's in the heart of some of those ducks. You have no idea. You take a look at them. You can't see what's in their heart. You can't see the determination inside of them. You can't see the ambition inside of their heart. And you can't also see what's in the heart of those geese. You don't know. The deciding factors of whether somebody's going to succeed or not are internal. They're not observable by you. So when you prejudge people and you say, I'm going to talk to her, but I'm not going to talk to her, number one, you're going to be wrong. Several times, maybe even most of the time, you're going to be wrong. But let me explain why this is such a big issue from an energetic perspective. When you decide somebody's going to be a duck and they're not a duck, or somebody's going to be a goose and they're not a goose, you're wrong because you've decided that they are supposed to be a certain way. And when they turn out to not be that way, you now have an unmet expectation of them, and that creates all the disappointment in your life. All of it. All disappointment is created by unmet expectations. So when you prejudge people, you are creating the expectations that later on create the challenges for you, create the emotional misery for you. It's because you decided somebody was supposed to say yes and they didn't. That's not their fault. That's your fault. And I'm not necessarily saying that you have to talk to every single human being on the planet that has a pulse. I'm not taking it to that extreme, but but you have to understand, the more prejudging that you do, the more that you look through your list of contacts and decide who's going to join and who's not, the more that you will have a negative experience. And I can guarantee you, just take inventory of how many times that's happened to you. How many times you've wanted somebody to be in the business so bad. And I hear this all the time. People go, oh, my friend could be so good if she only wanted to. And it makes me go crazy. I'm like, what do you mean if she only wanted to? That's a big if. That's the biggest if out there. If she wanted to. Listen, that's a deal breaker. She doesn't want to. It doesn't matter what she could. She doesn't want to. And if she doesn't want to, it will outweigh anything that she could do. So don't just stop. I don't even want that to be a factor for you, what people could accomplish. Because here's what I know. Any human being that's excited enough about something can accomplish it. There are no skill sets in Mary Kay that any human beings don't have the ability to learn. Skill set is not a requirement for Mary Kay because you can learn any of that stuff. It's everything other than that. That's how you've got to set your filters when you look at recruiting. And again, since it's not externally observable, the only way you're going to figure out if people are really in, the right space to join Mary Kay is by asking them questions, which is what I said at the very beginning. Stop talking so much, start asking more. All right, let's get into this biggest internal shift that you've got to make. And it's very simple. But for most people, it's not easy just because you got a habit around this, right? And the shift is going from selling to serving. Now, let me explain. Selling is when you're in this energy of win and loss, personal gain versus personal loss. So if you're calling somebody to get an appointment, you're selling. If your intention is to get an appointment, you're selling. And what I mean by that is you're trying to get something from them. And every time you're trying to get something, you also run the risk of losing something. So hopefully that's making sense. Every time you're trying to gain something, you're also running the risk of losing something. And all of your fears are around losing. All of them. Think of it. What's the fear of rejection around? You trying to get a yes and somebody giving you a no. What's the fear of failure around? You trying to achieve something and not being able to achieve it. What's the fear of approval around? You not getting the approval from somebody else that you want to get. All of your fears come down to a negative experience. They are born in the possibility of loss. They're born in the possibility of getting a no, something negative happening. So when you're focused on getting, you are plugged into all of your fears because you cannot separate the two. You cannot separate personal gain from personal loss. You can't. But when you're focused on serving, serving doesn't have an evil twin. There's no evil twin there. There's no such thing as loss when it comes to serving. You're going to serve people and they're either going to take it or they won't, but you won't take it as a rejection. Now, I think all of you understand intellectually the difference there, but that's not how I want you to judge this. I want you to ask, do you get it emotionally? It's not intellectually that you need to get this. You need to get this emotionally. And here's how you can tell if you get it emotionally. Do you have fears when you think about making phone calls? If you have fears when you think about making phone calls, you don't get this piece yet. You get it intellectually, but you don't get it emotionally. It's not in your body. See, this, you have to get this in your body, not in your mind. Most people get it in their mind, but they still feel fear when they go to call somebody. That means intellectually you got it. Physically, emotionally, you don't got it. Right? You have to get it in your mind. I'm sorry, in your body. So if you still have fears, if you have the anxieties, if you still have all that resistance when you think about making phone calls, talking to people, then you haven't made this shift yet. When you make this shift and you realize that you have the gift, you're Santa Claus. You have a gift that allows people the opportunity to change their life. Whether they use it or not is up to them, but you have the gift and you have an obligation and a responsibility to tell people about this gift. If you really truly get that, then you move into service mode and you won't deal with all the other rejection, failure, pains, anxieties, doubts, all that other stuff that you're plugged into when your goal is to get a customer or get a skincare class or get a Cadillac or get a title. Anytime you're trying to get, you're inviting all of your fears and all of your limiting beliefs. Because when you think about, I want to get the Cadillac, guess what your mind does? Your mind remembers all the times that you've tried to get something in the past and you failed. And it also remembers the times that you've tried to specifically get the Cadillac in the past and you failed. So when you're focused on the getting, listen, you are opening up a storage area that you don't want to open in your mind. You don't want to open that storage area because it's full of all the painful memories. It's full of all the failure. You don't want to go there. And most people are unintentionally, unknowingly, and unconsciously opening up the negative storage of their mind by focusing on getting. Well, serving doesn't have any of that negative storage. So I want you to monitor this with yourself. Do you still have the fear? If you have the fear, that means this foundation hasn't shifted yet. Now, there are ways to shift this in your body, but you've got to do the work. And I'm going to explain some of those ways in a little bit. I'm going to invite you to a program where I'm going to teach you how to do all this stuff, how to actually make the changes instead of just understanding the changes that need to be made, but not being able to make the changes. Because all that does is add more frustration, right? So that's the biggest internal shift you've got to make. Now let's take a look at the characteristics of the world's best recruiters. And when I looked at this, I said, who's world class? Who's world class? World class doesn't just mean they've achieved the highest level. It means they've achieved the highest level with integrity. It means they've achieved the highest level without, creating disconnect with other people. They still make other people feel good. So when I think of world class, I'm not thinking people that are rich. I'm not thinking people that have just succeeded. I'm thinking about people who've succeeded the right way. And I know all of you want that, the right way, right? So here are the characteristics, just 5 of them. There are more, but here are 5 of the most important characteristics. They are consistent and they are relentless. Now, consistent and relentless is much easier to do when you clear the conflict that I talked about earlier. One of the reasons why it's so hard for most of you to be consistent is because you don't like doing the activities that you're trying to be consistent doing. It's very difficult to be consistent making phone calls when you don't like making phone calls. It's very difficult to be relentless warm chatting people when you don't enjoy warm chatting. So that's a situation where you're going to continue coping with the conflict and try to motivate yourself into doing these things, or you're going to clear the conflict and all of a sudden consistency and relentlessness is now easy. You don't have to motivate yourself to do things that you love doing, to serve people, to offer them an opportunity to change their life when you enjoy it. You don't have to motivate yourself to do that. That's when you know you've shifted, because you don't have to motivate yourself to do these things anymore. Transparency and authenticity. These are huge for me. People nowadays need you as a leader to be real. People are attracted to real more than they are attracted to accolades. People don't care anymore about what you've achieved in your life if you've achieved it being fake. They need you to be real. And they will follow somebody who's real before they follow somebody who's ultra successful but fake. They will follow somebody who's real and not all that successful yet before they follow a successful fake person. That's the society that we live in. So you must be transparent and authentic. That doesn't mean you air your dirty laundry, you tell people everything there is to know about you, all the negative stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're real with people. Don't lie to them. Don't lie to them about Mary Kay. Don't tell somebody that they can join the business and within 3 months they can get into a pink Cadillac working 7 hours a week, because you know that's wrong. You know that's wrong. And yet too many people are dumbing down this opportunity and making it sound like, oh, you don't really have to work all that hard. Just come on in, dilly-dally a little bit, and you can be in a pink Cadillac too. That is BS. You know it's BS, and people can smell that it's BS. Listen, this opportunity of Mary Kay is so good, you don't need to lie about it. You don't need to embellish the story of Mary Kay Ash. You don't need to embellish what she's done. You don't need to lie about her vision. You just need to tell the truth. And the right people are going to be attracted to the truth. So don't for a second dumb down this company. Don't for a second tell people that they don't need to roll their sleeves up and actually go to work, because you're lying to them. And people can feel it when you're not telling the truth. And if people come in on a lie, as soon as they learn the truth, most people will then exit. You don't have to do anything of that sort. And I know most of you are not consciously lying that way, but a lot of times if you're with your energy, because of the desperation, you're trying to make it sound like, come on, will you just please come in? Don't desperately try to attract people by lowering the bar, because then all you're going to get is more desperate people, and you're actually going to create more of a problem that you're trying to solve. Desperation is never the answer, ever. But when people are desperate, they get tempted and they do things that they shouldn't be doing. The answer is transparency and authenticity. I'd rather you tell me that this game is not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it, and you get out what you put in. I'd rather you tell me that from the get-go. I'd rather you say, hey, listen, I haven't achieved everything that I want to achieve, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I want to teach you some of the mistakes that I've made so you don't have to remake them. How about that? Boy, I love hearing that. If I'm your prospect, I love hearing that. I love hearing the fact that you made some of the mistakes and you walked on some of the shards of glass so that I don't have to. Yes, give me more of that. In fact, I'm more likely to follow you if you can help me avoid my mistakes than if you were a multimillionaire and it took you 6 months to get there. Because I don't know if I even believe that. Right? So transparency is what people are craving. Another characteristic of the world-class recruiters is eternal optimism. Eternal optimism. We obviously don't have the ability to control everything that happens to us, but we have the ability to control our optimism. And nobody wants to follow pessimism. I don't want to follow. If you're whining about the economy and telling me how bad Obama is and talking about how negative people are and explaining, how negative your job is, I don't want to follow you. I want to run from you. And I want to go take a shower just in case your pessimism is somehow contagious. Nobody needs to hear pessimism. And you can be transparent and authentic and still be optimistic. I'm not saying be Pollyanna, pretend things aren't real, but be optimistic in the face of things that are not perfect. You can still take optimism and attach it to reality. The fourth thing is selective memories. I love this one. Selective memories. Many of you are remembering things from your past that only make you feel bad. Why? Why? Forget those things that make you feel bad. Remember the things that make you feel good. World-class recruiters selectively remember the things that support them and serve them in their journey, and they selectively forget all the stuff they don't need to remember anymore. That doesn't mean you don't learn the lessons. Of course, you learn the lessons from your mistakes, but once you learn the lessons, you don't need the emotional memories anymore. Let that stuff go. Selectively remember the things that serve you and forget the things that don't. And finally, you got to live in you got to live in unconditional gratitude and joy. Most people live in conditional gratitude and joy. They're happy if they have a certain amount of money in the bank account. They're happy if they have a certain production in Mary Kay. They're happy if they're at a certain position. They're happy if people are placing orders. Listen, if you are upset by the things that are happening in your business and it's causing you to take that negative energy into your family, and it's causing you to take that negative energy into your body, and it's causing you to shut down for some reason because of the decisions that other people are making, that's not healthy. I'm not saying that you don't want to increase your business. Of course you do. But you can be ambitious and want more without letting your current reality in the business shut you down and create misery for you. If you're not happy, if you're a director and you're not happy at the first of the month because you didn't make production, you don't get it. And I would submit to you that you'll never get it until you can learn to be happy and grateful whether or not you make production. And what I promise you is it'll be easier to make production when your happiness and gratitude is not at stake. Because it means you haven't learned something yet. You're still emotionally attached to something, and you need to detach from that thing before you open up to your capabilities and to your possibilities as a leader, as a recruiter, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend. Unconditional gratitude and joy should come first, and then it makes all of your business easier. See, understand, I'm not saying that you just are okay with where you are. When I talk about unconditional gratitude, I'm not talking about resignation. I'm not saying, oh, I only brought in $2,000 this month. Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm going to pretend that that's all I want. Absolutely not. But don't let it ruin your relationships. Don't let it for 1 second cause you to throw some negativity on one of your children because you're irritated. That's where I get really lit up, is when people's irritation gets transferred into their family. See, if that's what you're doing, I don't think you get it. I don't think you get life. Anytime that you're irritated because of what other people are doing, in that moment of irritation, you're taking for granted the fact that you're alive. You're taking for granted the fact that you have your health. You're taking for granted all the things that you have around you that you should be grateful for because somebody didn't place an order. Are you kidding? That cannot be the connection that you live with. You have to live in gratitude and joy, and I promise you your results will be infinitely easier to achieve. I'm not telling you give up on your goals. I'm telling you it'll be easier to get your goals when your goals don't determine your happiness. That's the key. That's the shift. All right, we only have about 5 or 10 more minutes here, and I'm going to get into overcoming objections. And I'm going to do this relatively quickly because when you make all the shifts that I've already talked about, these things are easy. These things are so much easier. So number one, I want you to embrace the fact that objections are part of the process. Here's what's supposed to happen during an interview. You're supposed to interview them, and then they're supposed to object. It's supposed to happen. I would get concerned if somebody joins your business without any objection or consideration. That's the way it's supposed to happen. So you have to embrace it as part of the process. That way, when it shows up, it won't freak you out. It's part of the process, and it must be a sign of interest. And then when somebody does have some sort of consideration or objection, maintain your fun face. You can still have fun even though somebody's telling you they don't have time or money. You can still have fun. You can still have a smile on your face. When you smile, the conversation is lighter and it's easier. So always maintain your fun face. Now, during the presentation, during your interview, here's the way that you remove the objections unconsciously is you address them during the presentation. Let me explain. You know that the top 3 objections are time, money, and ability. People say, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, or I can't do it. Those are the top 3 objections or some form of it. So what you want to do during your presentation with stories when you can is you want them to see that these objections are ridiculous. You want them to admit that if something is important enough to them, they'll create the time. If something is important enough to them, they'll find the money. And they have the ability to do anything that is really, truly important to them. You want them to say, yes, I agree to that. Because if you can get them to agree, then they've just unconsciously overcome their own objection. But you got to do it during the presentation or during the interview, because at the end, their defenses come up. And you don't want to get in that debate energy like most people get into. Let me tell you why you should do this. And they go, but I don't have the time. Well, let me tell you why you're wrong. And let me tell you why you do have the time. Don't make people wrong. Just explore. That's this last piece here. Explore their objections. Don't try to overcome them. When you're overcoming them, that means somebody's wrong and somebody's right. You never want to start a relationship where when that person says yes, they have to admit that they're wrong first. This should never be a right or wrong. Don't make people feel stupid. And by you trying to overcome and take away their objections, you're making them feel stupid. You're in a debate. I don't like that energy of a debate. I want you to show up and advocate for people. I want you to show up and say, this is what I'm hearing you tell me. You're telling me that you want more out of life. You're telling me you want more financial freedom. You're telling me you want to give a better future for your children. You're telling me all this stuff. Here's an opportunity for you to do that. Can I help you create the time in order for you to jump in and to build what you're trying to build? Can I help you create that? If you'll let me help you create that, then let's explore. Let's explore the time thing. Let's explore the money thing. Are there things that you can stop doing in order to create the space for a business that can change your life and help put Mary through college? When you jump on their side of the fence and you are now advocating for their dreams, you won't have any of the debating kind of energy. And it'll change everything for you. Trust me. It'll just change everything for you. And again, they have the answers inside of them. You don't have the answers. So the more questions you ask by exploring, the easier it's going to be. I almost forgot this part. 5 words. 5 words will change the game for you when it comes to objections. Tell me more about that. So when somebody says, I don't have the time, don't tell them that they do have the time. Just say, tell me more about that. They say, I don't have the money. Tell me more about that. And just let them explain to you what they mean. Sometimes they don't actually mean what you think they mean. And they'll explain it. Sometimes they'll talk themselves out of the objection because they'll realize how stupid the objection was. But the more that you get them talking and just explore, the easier it's going to be and the better it's going to be. And finally, you guys, let's talk about identifying and attracting your ideal prospects. I think so much of what I've already talked about is going to fit right into here. You first have to be clear about the characteristics that you want. Most people are clear about what they don't want. I want you to be clear about what you do want. If you want to be a success-minded person, or if you're looking for success-minded people, rather, you've got to be clear about that. If you're looking for people that understand the business mindset, you've got to be clear about that. And then once you're clear about what you want, you use affirmations to attract those and also to heighten your awareness. So you can say, I'm easily and effortlessly attracting business-minded women who have an understanding of investing in themselves and investing in inventory and are hungry to change their life. When you repeat that to yourself over and over again, that's the filter that you'll go out into the world with. You'll start looking for people that match that. And then what you want to do is you want to focus on their actions, not their words. Everybody will tell you that they're serious about changing their life. Most people aren't going to act like it. Focus on their actions, not their words, and do their actions match those ideal characteristics that you're looking for in people, rather. So that's how you really put a different perspective on your prospects. And when you go looking for something, you'll find it most of the time. That's why you've got to be clear, and that's why you've got to actively seek these people out. So in wrapping up here, you guys, the content portion, I'm going to invite you to a program here in a moment. But you got to understand that success in your recruiting isn't determined by what you say or do. It's determined more by how you show up. It's an energy that you have that's more important than what you do or what you say. And so I want you to understand that energy. And as I've said several times, this journey in Mary Kay, in life in general, is not going to be easy. I promise you that. But it will be worth it if you commit to it. It's going to be worth it. And at the end of your life, it won't matter if you actually got into the Cadillac. It won't matter if you actually became a director. It won't matter if you actually became a national sales director. That's not the way you're going to decide on how well you lived your life, not on any of the tangible failures or successes. The question you have to ask yourself, and you have to be okay with the answer, is, did I go for it? Did I try? Did I swing the bat? Did I give it everything I have? Or am I checking out from this one opportunity of life that I have with music still inside of me? Please don't be the music still inside kind of person, because that conversation will hurt tremendously. So from this point forward, what I'm inviting you to do is engage and embrace the journey. Understand it's not going to be easy, and sign up for it anyway, so that at the end of your life, you can say, I went for it. I didn't cower in the face of my fears. I didn't commit more to my doubts than I did to my dreams. I actually went for it. I tried my best. That's how to live a fulfilled life. So you have two choices. I told you this is basically the theme of this webinar. You have two choices. You can continually cope with your current internal circumstances. You can try to get more out of your beliefs than are possible. You can try to get more out of your identities and patterns than is possible to get out of them. Or you can change the game. You can clear the conflicts. You can reframe the beliefs. You can form new identities. You can build a better foundation that will then allow you to create the business and the life of your dreams. But you cannot create the business and the life of your dreams on a foundation that is soft and shaky. So please don't be the coping person. You know, you get one shot in this life. I say choose wisely. Every single day, decide that you're going to swing the bat. Every single day, decide that you're going to do something to at least try for your goals and dreams. And it's okay for you to try and not achieve. It's not okay for you to not try. It's okay for me to try and to not achieve. It is not okay for me to not try. That's how I suggest you live your life. That's the definition of success. Being willing to try even if you don't succeed. And see, most people are more committed to their convenience and more committed to their comfort zone. And that's why they unintentionally choose the coping trail their whole life. But if you're more committed to growth, you're more committed to change, you're more committed to success, you're more committed to your purpose, to your vision, you're more committed to living this life according to the way you deserve and desire, then you must be willing to play the game that has to be played. You've got to be willing to do that. So for those of you that are willing to jump in and want to do the work to change the foundation and change the game, I'm going to invite you to a group coaching program that I'm starting here shortly. I want you to participate in Change the Game. This is a Mary Kay only group coaching program. And let me tell you, I made a decision early last year after my last Mary Kay only training that I was not going to do this ever again. I just didn't feel like I had anything more to teach. I felt complete. But over the last 2 to 3 months, there have been things that I've been experiencing in my life. There are things that I'm going through with my own coaches, people who are coaching me. There have been ahas, breakthroughs, understandings, exercises that I've done that I've never taught in the Mary Kay world. And so I just got this rumbling in my stomach about 3 months ago. I have more to teach now. I've got more to give. I'm not complete. And so I got incredibly excited when I thought, let's do another Mary Kay only training. And so I want to teach you some of the newer things that I haven't taught before, or go deeper with them. And this program changed the game. I really think it's going to be my best work because of who I am right now, what I understand right now, taking my 9.5 years of coaching experience in this Mary Kay world, but focus on how you can implement this stuff. This is not going to be just a conceptual training. This is going to be an implementational workshop kind of training. And if there are any of you out there right now that are listening and you know this is the next step for you to take, you can go ahead and jump to the website. It's on the screen right there. For those of you on the line, it's Pink Caddy Coach. Caddy is C-A-D-D-I-E. pinkcaddycoach.com/CTG, which stands for Change the Game. That's what I'm about. Let's change the game together. So many of you know this is your next step. So go ahead and register. You're going to get some fast action taker bonuses. I'm not even going to get to them for a few minutes, but many of you will get those bonuses before I even get to them. But let me explain the intentions of this program. The intentions are number one is to change your internal belief structure. It's to change the foundation, the fundamentals of the way you think about success, the way you think about money. I'm going to tackle money beliefs in a way that I've never tackled before because I've had to go through that stuff myself over the last 3 months of my life. And I realize, I've even been teaching this stuff for 9 years. I still got more layers to this onion. If I don't clear this thing, I'll never be able to go any further. And so I want to teach you some of the stuff that I've had to learn, some of the exercises that I've done recently, because here's what I know. If you don't clear up your limiting beliefs around money, you can never have it. And if you do ever get it, you will sabotage yourself out of it. And the same thing goes with success. We are going to hammer money beliefs and success beliefs in the foundational part of this course because that is so critical. It doesn't matter what skill sets you learn in Mary Kay. If you don't have permission to succeed, if you don't have permission to make a lot of money, your skill sets are worthless because your belief will always outweigh your skills. You can never outperform your belief system. We're going to take a look at long-lasting and sustainable habits. Productivity habits, being effective with your time, is again more important than your skill set. You can have all the skills in the world, but if you're a mess when it comes to designing your day and having boundaries and maximizing your efforts, you're not going to get the most out of yourself. So we're going to talk about those things. And again, it's all about implementation. Implementation. Because a concept learned but not implemented is a useless concept. A concept learned but not implemented is a useless concept. So I am not going to throw 1,000 things at you during this course. I'm going to teach you a handful of change the game concepts and teach you how to implement those change the game concepts. I'm going to teach you how to implement the foundational concepts like self-esteem. Everybody knows you should feel good about yourself. Well, how effective is you just knowing you should feel good about yourself in actually feeling good about yourself? That's one of those areas where you can't just intellectually understand what you're supposed to do unless you understand how to do it. So we're going to get into the how. How do you build habits? How do you actually increase your self-esteem? How do you increase your confidence? How do you shift the energy around yourself and your business so that you're attracting results, that you're not going after people and chasing people? We're going to look at the systems internally and externally that you need for consistent growth and rapid growth. I want to support you in achieving your biggest goals in Mary Kay and life in general. So this is a Mary Kay only training in the sense that it's only with Mary Kay consultants and directors. But this is not a Mary Kay only training in the sense that the content will apply to much bigger areas than only Mary Kay. This is a much more holistic kind of training when we're talking about your life. Because here's what I know. If you build a successful Mary Kay business, but your life is a mess, what good is that? What good is that? So it's not only talking about Mary Kay details, it's talking about the details of winning the game of life and how to apply it in your Mary Kay business also, right? And ultimately, I want you to have more time and financial freedom so you can live life on your terms. So let me explain the features of this program. Let me explain the way it's designed. It's an 8-week live group coaching program with me. So you're going to get on the phone with me with a bunch of people, and I'm going to be there live, and I'm going to answer questions. That's the way I like to do it. I like to teach and find out if there's anything I can do to answer your questions while we're in the conversation. It's going to be 8 weeks, and 5 of those weeks are going to be with everybody in the program. It's going to be the foundational track where all the consultants, all the directors are in this part of the program, and we're going to talk about the things that apply to everybody. But then the last 3 weeks are going to be split by position, because I can only teach you so much without specifically talking to you where you are in the business. There are certain things that I need to teach you as a consultant that don't apply to directors. There are certain things that I need to teach you as a director that I've learned with all of my experience that won't help you if you're a consultant, because it's too far down the path. And I don't want to confuse you with things that aren't going to help you take the next step from where you are right now. So after 5 weeks, we're going to split you up. I'm going to talk to consultants and DIQs on one track, and I'm going to talk to directors on another track. And I'll tell you, I've never done this before. I've never split it up like that inside the same program. And I am so excited to do this, because now we can get into, the nitty gritty. And I'm going to tell you what some of those concepts are that we'll be talking in those tracks here in a moment. As I've already said, we're going to get deep into money beliefs, deep into implementation. You're going to have handouts with exercises to let the knowledge soak in and extend the learning, etc. You can teach this stuff to your unit members. If you're a director or if you're a consultant, you can teach it however you want. Live Q&A with me after every single call. Like I said, there's a private Facebook group you're going to be able to join where you're going to continue the conversation. You're going to feel the support of everybody else with you. You're going to have access to all of the archives. You can download any of the calls. So if you're not ever able to make one of the calls live, no problem. We'll be able to get you the information so you can listen to it over again, or you can listen to it on recording if you don't hear it live. And let me explain the different tracks. So the first track is the foundation. These are the types of things we're going to talk about with everybody. We're going to talk about money and success beliefs that I've mentioned already. That applies to everybody. Time management, activity management, that applies to everybody. Duplication techniques, so that you intentionally create a business that duplicates everybody. Your internal drivers, what makes you tick? What makes you get inspired? What makes you take action personally? You have to understand yourself in order for you to set yourself up to succeed. That applies to everybody. What are your identities? What are your boundaries that need to be shifted or strengthened? Everybody. How do you deconstruct habits, and how do you reconstruct new habits? Everybody. How do you grow your self-esteem? How do you increase your confidence? Everybody. So for 5 weeks, we're going to talk about concepts like this that are going to apply to your business and that are going to apply to everybody. And then we're going to talk specific position tracks. So for the consultants and DIQ, we're going to talk about just solid, IBC business foundations that you need to make sure you have clear and you have solid before you start to move up. We're going to talk about the mindset of moving up. My experience is that most people aren't ready to move up. They try to move up way too early and they don't have the right mindset. You've got to have the right mindset. Otherwise, your progress is just going to be short-lived. And it's actually worse if you go too fast and you can't sustain it. We're going to talk about when to recruit, when to sell, how to deal with uninspiring people. Now, again, I told you early on, I am not a sugarcoater. I deal with reality. This company has 2 million plus people in it. There's no way for us to think for a second that you're going to get along with everybody. And some of the people that you don't get along with might be your director. They might be your national. They might be your team member. They might be your sister consultant or your sister director. They might be people that you're close to all the time, but for whatever reason, you don't get along with them, or they just don't inspire you. You can't see yourself in them, right? This doesn't necessarily mean there's conflict, but for whatever reason, maybe they're just not inspiring to you. And this doesn't make them wrong and you right, or vice versa. It just means, you know what, this fit isn't perfect for you. So we can pretend that that doesn't happen, or I can teach you what to do when it does happen. And I can tell you, because I've been coaching for 9.5 years, it happens. It happens a lot. And what happens too often is because there's some kind of conflict with another person, it causes you to shut down. And that's where it's a tragedy. You know, it's tragic when somebody shuts themselves down and shuts their goals down because there's a conflict with another person. I want you to clear the conflict. So we're going to talk about some real issues like that. We're going to talk about how to be flexible in your goal setting to set yourself up to succeed, how to recruit as a consultant. You know, how you recruit as a consultant might be different than how you recruit as a director because you don't have 30 people on your team. You know, you don't have the success. You don't have the offspring, right? You don't have what a lot of directors have. So you have to recruit just slightly differently. For the directors, we're going to talk about some of the advanced leadership stuff. I love getting into persuasion and influence and some of the advanced stuff. We'll talk about who to work with, who to love and let go, how to get people started properly. This is a big, big, big issue. How to run your meetings properly to get people engaged and make sure that it's fun for them. I could do an entire call on how to run meetings because I've been coaching consultants for years, and a lot of them tell me why they don't go to their meetings anymore. Do you think that would be good information for you as a director to know why most consultants stop coming to meetings so that you can do it a little bit different? And that doesn't mean you have to change everything you do at the meetings. You just have to change the stuff that's repelling people. I want to teach you that. I want to teach the persuasion I talked about, influence, leadership. I want to teach you about boundaries with yourself, your family, your unit. I want to teach you about flexible goal setting with your team members. So these are some of the things that I'm going to teach you in the specific tracks. Now, this is for you if you're tired being where you are. This is for you if you want to grow quickly and you want to grow consistently and do it foundationally so that you don't just, run up a hill and then fall back down the hill and then motivate yourself to run back up the hill and fall back down. I don't want you to fall back down. I want you to consistently grow. If you're not into consistent growth, please don't register. I'm not going to serve you. If you're a little irritated or you're a lot irritated because there's something inside that you know has more to give, you can get more out of yourself. You can produce more. If you've got some irritation inside of you, that's good. I want to use that irritation as fuel. I don't want you to run from that irritation. I want you to use that irritation. I've always been positively irritated before I've made any kind of real big decision in my life. So you got to be irritated a little bit. If you're willing to roll up your sleeves and get to work, I can help. If you're not, I can't help. Please don't register. If you want to learn from other people's mistakes so that you can shorten your learning curve, this is great. If you're hungry and you just know you're ready for a change, this is great. This is all about changing the game for you. So those are the details of the program. You're going to get some bonuses. I'm going to do a bonus call for DIQs called the DIQ do's and don'ts. Now, this will apply to all three. It will apply to consultants so you're prepared in DIQ. It will apply to DIQs, obviously. And it will apply to directors for you to, number one, fix some of the things that you might have wrong in your business, and also for you to be able to support people that are going into DIQ. And here's where I'm coming from with this. I'm coming from 9.5 years of coaching a lot of directors and noticing that the reason that their businesses are not where they want them to be is because they have habits that were created in DIQ. They started patterns in DIQ that they were not able to uncreate. There are certain bells that you just can't unring. And I just learned, whoa, there's a lot of people that do DIQ kind of wrong. And when you do DIQ wrong, you can get out of DIQ, but you might actually be setting yourself up for failure going forward. And I'm all about helping you win in the long run. I'm going to do another bonus call, which is going to be a panel call with some of the people that I know who are really good at warm chatting. It's going to be called What's Working with Warm Chatting. And I want you to hear from people who are doing really well. I want you to hear what they're saying, what they're not saying, what they're doing, not doing, what they're thinking, and what they're not thinking. That's going to give you what we call a business explosion strategy session. And basically what that is a phone call with one of our coaches to help you identify what's next for you, to help you identify your specific challenges, the actual targets that you should work on, and what are the next steps for you. Most people don't give themselves the gift of personalized attention from somebody who can really change the game, like a neutral coaching perspective. And that's what you'll get. Now, some of you have already done a session like this, and if you have, you get to do it again after this program so that you can really focus on the things that I teach you in the program. And if you've never done this session, then obviously you're going to get to do it again. Bonus number 4 is 2 free months in my group coaching program called the Eagles Club, which is kind of like a CD of the month club. You get a free call with me and my partner once a month. You get CDs sent to your house once a month. You get archives of all kinds of positive programming once a month. It's almost entirely on mindset. And it's really important to keep you plugged into that. So you're going to get 2 months of that for free. The bonus value of all of this is over $300, is well over the investment of the program. So let's talk investment. And I want you to think of this as an investment. See, most people who are broke, they think of everything as a cost. What's the price of this? What's the cost of this? If you think of everything as a cost, you'll never be successful in business. Everything in business is an investment. If I invest my time, my energy, or my money, what do I get out of it? That's an investment. This is an investment situation for you. It's an investment decision for you. If you don't think about this as an investment, then this program is probably not right for you, because I want this program to pay for itself inside the first month. That's one of my intentions with you. Let's get this to pay for itself so that you don't have to just find a bunch of money and use this as a cost. So the investment in this program, full pay, is only $197. I want to make it a no-brainer. I want to make it easy for people who are serious enough, because I believe that everybody can find $197 if something is important enough to them. And what I want to teach you is everything that I know, that have learned over the last 9.5 years, that I can in an 8-week period of time, that will cause you to change the foundational game of your business. And it's not just about how quickly can you make $197 back, but let's think about that. What would it take? Let's apply the principle of slight edge. What if you just learned one thing over the course of 8 weeks that caused you to do 1 more skincare class, to do 2 more facials, to have 1 more person join your business, and you set them up properly and they come in with a full order, or they just work their business no matter what size order they come in with, they just work their business. What would it create in your life? What would it create in your business if you were to not just do this one time and get the money back, but you were to make this an every month kind of thing? You were to set the foundation so that this pays for itself month after month, over and over and over again. Now, this is just a one-time investment, $197. I'm not saying this is what it costs every month. One-time investment, but what you got to see, you have to see the bigger picture. And for some of you, you might have taken a look at that number and go, well, I don't have $197. And I'm going to speak directly to you for a moment, because a lot of people have this default voice in their head that says, I can't. I can't because. I can't do this because I don't have the money. I can't do this because I don't have the time. I can't do this because I won't be successful. Listen, you have to change that thinking. Otherwise, you'll never win. You'll never win and achieve your goals with a default I can't programming. Now, whether you join my program or not is up to you. And your $197 is not going to change my life. An 8-week course could change your life, though, if you really committed to it. But I just want to have an open, transparent conversation, because too many people have an I can't response, and it's crushing you. It's crushing your dreams. It's crushing your goals, because you're listening to the voice of fear. And you have to understand what the voice of fear is good for. The voice of fear is only good for keeping you where you are. That's what it's designed to do. It's good for scaring you into taking risks so that you don't get hurt, so that you play it safe. You'll never play it safe on the way to your dreams. You can't do that. So you need to decide right now, which voice are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to the voice of fear, or are you going to listen to the voice of ambition? You can't watch 2 channels at the same time. You pick. Now, I'm not saying you have to join my program. Listen, if you don't think this program will help you, then don't join it. But if you think it'll help you, then don't listen to the voice of fear that's keeping you stuck, that's keeping you broke, that's keeping you at a position that you don't want to be at anymore. Because you'll never outgrow that voice of fear as long as you listen to it and you give it more power than it deserves. So for some of you, that's going to be your biggest breakthrough on this call and in this program, is that you challenge ferociously that voice that says, I can't. You can't listen to that voice and achieve anything that you want. So if you think I can't afford this, you need to change that thinking. You need to change the game. Maybe you have to do this because of that voice that says I can't. Maybe that's what this is telling you, that you must change some of the programming so that you never have the ability ever in the rest of your life to say I can't afford $197. Now, if you are in a situation where $197 is too much of a stretch, you know, we want to help. We have a payment plan that's only $75 for 3 months. $75, guys. That's 1 extra skincare class. That's 1 extra facial probably for many of you. That's $75 for 3 months, 30 days apart, so that I can help you change the game. That's my intention. That's my heart. That's what I want to do. And some of you might be saying, man, you know, Sean just really wants us to buy his program. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Not because $197 will alter my life, but because I know I'm going to teach you things that have changed my life from the inside out, that have allowed me to create millions of dollars since I've learned these less than 10 years ago. Millions of dollars. And at the time, I couldn't afford it either. So I'm speaking to you from experience. I'm advocating for your highest voice. I'm advocating for your purpose. I'm not advocating for your circumstances. Don't ever let your circumstances make the decisions about your dreams. If you're letting the voice of your circumstances have a say in the decisions about your dreams, that doesn't make sense. Because your dreams are beyond your circumstances. Your purpose is beyond your circumstances. You are bigger than your circumstances. So don't let your circumstances for a second get into the conversation about what you want to create on this planet, because they don't have the ability. That's not what they're here to do. It's not what they're here for. So that's the program. Change the game. Now, there are fast action taker bonuses. For the first 200 people that join this program, you're going to get a few things. You're going to get $50 in Pink Caddy cash, which means after you join this program, you're going to be able to use $50 toward any physical product that we have or any other Mary Kay program that we do all the way through the end of 2015. So it's like a coupon that you get for free. And we have plenty of programs that are less than $50. We'll just send it to you for free. You're also going to get a laser coaching call with me in January, only for this group of 200 fast action takers, so that I can talk to you after the holidays, so that I can answer any questions about what's working or what's not working with this, with this program. But for the first 10 action takers right now on this live hangout, for the first 10 action takers from this point forward, and these are probably already gone actually, you're going to get 25 minutes of private coaching with me. 25 minutes of private coaching with me. You know what? I'm going to do something that I haven't done before. I'm going to say, all right, it is 1:33 for me right now. I'm going to say, I'm going to extend that 25-minute private coaching call for anybody who registers in the next 7 minutes. So anything that comes in at 1:40 my time Anybody that registers in the next 7 minutes, I'm going to extend that 25-minute private coaching call, because some people hear that and they go, oh, I want to do it, but I really wanted that coaching call. So, I'm just going to, I'm going to opt out. Well, I want to sweeten the pot for you a little bit. So if you're on the fence and you really want to do this, I'm going to extend that for the first, not just the first 10, but anybody whose registration comes through over the next 7 minutes. I'm really trying to make this, a win-win situation for everybody. So the website, pinkcaddycoach.com/CTG for Change the Game. As always, there's a money-back guarantee. If within 30 days of when the program starts, you don't think I've delivered, you don't think you have enough information to double your business, and you don't think these are what you signed up for, to get these tools, then just request your money back and we'll give it back to you. That's 30 days from the start of the program, which is October 15th. Not 30 days from the time of your registration, 30 days from the start of the program. You have a money-back guarantee, so there's no risk on your part. People are coming in. Peggy, Leanne, Kathy, Margaret, Heather, you guys are all in for the 25-minute coaching session. Mary, Jennifer, Jody, Charlene, you guys are all in for the 25-minute coaching session. So, no risk on your part. That's the guarantee. And I want you to think about what's possible for a moment. I want you to disengage your disbelief about anything that's happened to you up until this point. I want you to think about what's possible. Antonella said as soon as she got rid of her perfectionism, her income tripled immediately. Immediately. Could you afford your income tripling immediately? Bring up your perfectionism. Koti is somebody that a few months after she made these transformations, she had 80 new team members. She brought in over $28,000 in a single month of production. I think you could probably handle that. But what she liked better is that she found balance in her life and she got into her Cadillac. Gigi's a consultant. She said that her confidence has grown. She's increased her retail sales by $3,000. She's paid off 8 credit cards. I think it's 10 or 12 by now. She said for the first time in her career, which spanned several decades, she had 5 active team members, so she was recruiting. Judy went from 17 to 73 team members. Her production tripled from $3,600 to $10,270 a month. I love what she says. The same mind that created the problem cannot solve the problem. Diane started getting 1 booking a day. Fran said she learned more about herself and human psychology or human behavior than her $40,000 degree in psychology. Jim Cundiff, many of you know, went from 39 to 200 very quickly. He was the king of Sapphire, king of sales in Sapphire Seminar, got back into his Cadillac, and he's crushing the business. So I want you to think about, what's possible for you. And the significant question to ask yourself is not the cost of taking action. Whether you join my program or not, I want you to think about all opportunities going forward with these, with this distinction. I don't want you to think about the cost of taking action. I want you to think about the cost of not taking action. What's the cost if you don't make the change? How much money are you leaving on the table? How much fulfillment are you leaving out of your life? How many people are you not helping? That's what the most significant people are driven by. The cost of not taking action, not the cost of taking action. So hopefully this webinar has been beneficial for you all. I'm going to open it up now for some Q&A here. If you're on pinkcaddyhangout.com, go ahead and type in your questions if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to refresh my page here. If you're on the phone, you can hit *6 on your line. Come on in, tell me who you are, and ask your question. And the Hangout people, you won't be able to hear the phone, but I will. I'll try to repeat what the people on the phone say. And for those of you that are on the Hangout, you might not have a question, but if you're in the program, if you already registered, tell me that. I'd like to know so I can celebrate that decision with you. Tell me who you are and that you've decided to change the game. And we've got 2 more minutes for the extension of the 25-minute coaching with me. So I'm here to answer any questions that you all have. Hit *6 on the line or type it in on the Pink Caddy Hangout page. All right, is there anybody that has any questions about the program, about the concepts, the content, any of that sort of stuff? Courtney says, I'm signing up. Awesome, Courtney. Julie, I'm excited about changing the game. Maria, fantastic. Cool, I just want to celebrate you guys that are deciding to really say yes to yourself, because that's what this is about. Oh, we got a wave of people that have signed up over the last couple minutes to get that 25-minute coaching call with me specifically. That's awesome. Here's why I'm excited. I'm excited because I don't know a lot of you. I'm excited because of all the new names that I see. I'm excited, to expand our community and for you to get into our community. I'm just excited about meeting so many new faces. We've got so many new people that are jumping in, and that's awesome. I just really, really celebrate that for you guys. All right, let me check one last time on the Hangout here to see if anybody has any questions about anything that I can answer. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Nice. Zena says she's ready to make a change. Can't wait to learn more. Sherry, where do I sign up? I'm going to reply to your post, Sherry, and send you the link so that you can go ahead and sign up. Whoops, it just pinkcaddycoach.com. So the link is pinkcaddycoach.com/CTG for Change the Game. So Sherry, go ahead and register and let me know it was you that asked where to sign up because you couldn't find it, and we'll give you that 25-minute extend that coaching call. But you have to email that to me. Otherwise, I'm just going to use the cutoff. Nice. Antonia, great training. We're logged in from the UK. Welcome from the UK. Fantastic. Yeah, Julie says servant leadership is the best leadership. Absolutely. All right, well, I'm going to wind this down because I don't see any questions that anybody has. I look forward to connecting with those of you that are in the program. Again, we start October 15th. Oh, here might be a question. Let's see. I had a true gut feeling since I heard this on Sunday night, 18 years in Mary Kay, to see where I can work and make significant progress, finally. Yes, excellent. I feel you, Marilee, and I'm going to do everything that I can to help you make some of those internal shifts to change your experience and to change your reality. And so welcome to the program. All right, everyone. Hopefully this has been valuable. If you signed up for the program, I celebrate that, and I can't wait to connect with you. We start October 15th. You'll get all the dates and all the call-in information and all that stuff on the registration page. And for those of you that are not choosing to sign up, I still celebrate you and acknowledge you, and I appreciate your attention and your intention and your energy and your contribution on this webinar. And if there's anything I can do going forward to serve you all, please let me know. Connect with me on Facebook. Our fan page is facebook.com/pinkcaddycoach. You can respond to any of the emails that you get from us, and those emails usually find their way back to me. And I'm here to help, and I'm here to answer. I'm here to teach in any way that I possibly can. So with that, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your evening, a wonderful rest of the week. I look forward to playing with many of you at a deeper level and serving the rest of you however I can. Take care, everybody. Good night. God bless. Talk to you soon.